Hello, my mystical friends. Today we're here to discuss a lovely little show called The Owl House. Magic, family, this, that, and
What did you do to the other cards? To our family? It wasn't wild magic, was it?
we don't talk about that. But we can talk about something a bit lighter, smaller, if you will. Miniatures. And what does this have to do with one of the Disney Channel's best animated shows of all time? Well, I spent the summer recreating Luz Noceda's room in miniature, and this is how it went. The first step was figuring out the basics of Luz's room setup. Luckily, Dana was happy to give us some clear images from multiple angles. To stay with the dimensions of my normal dioramas, I'm only making 3 walls, with the 4th being the one we don't see, which is presumably where the door is. Looking at these screenshots, you can see that Luz's room is vaulted, and my rooms are squared, so I had to make some compromises. I ended up going with an orange and off-white for Luz's walls and floor. I only had a little bit of this paper left, so I had to do some patchwork. And I also got a little bit of pen on the wall, but we will cover that up later. Next, I decided to put trim around the walls to replicate the look of the white beams and trim in Luz's room. The next step was going to be the hardest part of the process. Furniture. At first I was sure I had some furniture pieces lying around that would work, but I quickly found out they were too big, so I had to make them myself. The first piece was the desk. The tricky part of all of this is that the bunk bed and the desk had a total about 6.5 inches long, like together, which makes some pretty small furniture and was a bit of a pain to get to fit. By the way, this is one of those trust the process situations, as most of my furniture crafting is cardboard, glue, and prayers. My specialty is food and object miniatures, and since I don't exactly have the access to wood crafting materials that the good old Michaels has, this is what we're going with. And it ends up looking pretty good. Luckily, with a material like cardboard, I have a lot of it, and I can just shape things till I like how they look. And there's almost an endless free supply in my recycling bin. After whipping together Luz's desk, I moved on to her desk chair. This included using fabric to make her chair on back. I decided to stick with the flat back chair design to simplify the one Luz has in her room. It is the same basic shapes and covers, but without the indented details. Ah yes, my favorite part, screwing around with hot glue until I get something to stay in place. Yeah, this section is hard to watch. Hey, get that back in focus. There we go. Alright, now it's time to show you what this Patrick Star looking monstrosity is. Yep, it's that part. Couldn't you tell? The legs of the chair. Those weird legs that are kind of curved and go on the bottom where the wheels are. Yeah, it's that. The pieces are way too long, so I had to trim them down so the chair wasn't wildly out of proportion. Then? Oh, I'm starting over. Well, here we go again. Seriously, I haven't watched these videos in months, so I have no idea what my thought process was. There were some parts in this video I had to cut out because I was just like standing there doing nothing and there was nothing on the screen. It was kind of funny, but hard to edit. But at least the second time doing the chair legs, I was successful. And to make sure it doesn't fall apart, I'm going to smother the part no one's going to see with hot glue, which is a genius tactic. Now, it's time to cover some cardboard with fabric. Oh boy. Yeah, my fabric cutting skills aren't good, and I'd say it's because I just got out of a hand cast when I recorded this, but at the time, always like this. I decided to build the bunk bed and bookshelf off screen since the same process, plus some rectangle foam for the mattresses. Sadly, my clip showing off the bookshelf pre-painted got lost, but you'll see it later. All the painting was just basic brown and grays to match Luz's furniture, with the only big difference being Luz's white bunk beds, which I originally painted gray, thinking they were metal. They weren't. I don't know why I thought that. Maybe it's just because the white is probably metallic, looks kind of metallic, I don't know. But I had to repaint them. Now that the furniture was done, I had the basic pieces in place and could focus on the accessories. Luz's rug is a big part of her room, so I picked out some close to matching felt and got to work. It's pretty easy since it was just like 2 circles glued on top of each other. Thank you, Luz, for not having a complicated rug. I didn't want to embarrass myself on camera today. During my felt crafting, I had a brilliant idea to make some simple felt clothes to put on Luz's bed. I decided to make her green pants and purple and white striped shirt. These clothes aren't meant to be worn or used for anything besides decor, so they're just flat felt. As you can see, I used the same measure once, cut 20 times strategy I've used throughout the video. It's relatively effective, sometimes. After trimming the pants, I moved on to Luz's laptop, and the funny thing is, instead of a fruit on it like most shows to represent apple, it's a pepper, which I thought was really funny. And cute. Very original. For a laptop, I glued 2 pieces of black foam together and got out my trusty silver Sharpie to draw a tiny pepper. It ended up looking kind of like a banana, but they're the same shape, so I rolled with it. Next up was my miniature Azura books, a staple in a Luz Noceda room. These are the same printables I used to make the miniature Azura book 1 on my Etsy shop, except scaled down and foam used instead of actual paper. I only sell the first one because it's the only book we get a good look at. The others I had to piece together from blurry images on the show, which was an interesting project to go through, and I like it because now I could have the miniature Azura books whenever I want, but the first one's the only one that's like actually good quality that we could see. Now for the last major piece of this project, string bean. Luz's room was not done without her talisman, so I altered my process for making my miniature staffs on Etsy into a curled up little baby. I honestly love how this turned out, and this is my favorite miniature piece I've made in a while. I love string bean, and making these miniatures is always fun because it's just like stacking clay, and I like how easy the design is because it's just kind of layers of color, and I love purple, so it's always fun to make these. String bean being a snake shifter is one of my favorite things because it went back to the first episode of the show where Luz brought the snakes to school, which I think was a great choice, and I like how they kind of showed it off with snakes throughout her outfits and things she does throughout the show. I think that was a really cool thing that they just kept going with. And the fact that she's a shapeshifter, that was also really interesting. I think it's funny because it really plays into that, like, the idea that Luz is not like everyone else. She doesn't want to choose anything. She just kind of goes with the flow and does whatever. I think that was really cute and interesting. I love string bean's design. Phew. Thanks for sticking with me this long, guys. It'll be worth it because it's time to assemble the room and show you the finished project. Firstly, I'll address what I've added to the room since you last saw it. I ended up adding more trim as well as windows and Luz's mirror closet. Speaking of those windows, there was a moment of struggle with the one on the right wall since it actually moves depending on what close-up of Luz's desk you're looking at. I believe in earlier seasons it was closer to the right side of the desk, but it's also been shown mostly to the left side of the desk, so I ended up putting it there. Luckily, that was the only animation inconsistency I had to deal with. And you're probably saying to yourself, why is that window behind the bed? It doesn't go there. Well, I thought the bulletin board was one of the most important parts of the room, and I liked it the best. So I took some creative liberties and moved the window further down the wall. I also covered up that pen sponge with a poster and added Luz's outlet under her desk. The bunk bed pillows and blankets were provided by my mom, who sews a lot better than I do. She makes quilts and had made a lot of stuffed animals for me when I was a kid, so she helped out. Once I got the basics down, I went into my miniature collection and pulled out some clutter objects to make the room feel more alive. And yeah, Luz's bookshelf is a bit smaller for the books I had, but I made it work. I got out some comics, novels, and a composition book. Since we saw a Switch lookalike in the show, I pulled out my miniature one to put on the bottom bunk. And Luz and V strike me as stuffed animal lovers, so I made sure to add plenty of those. I also put my little snake shifter on Luz's clothes so she can nap. Here's the final project of it on my miniature shelves, where I keep all my rooms. This one's been sitting here for a few months, so I'm glad to finally show you guys. If you like this video, comments and likes are always appreciated, and feel free to subscribe if you want more content like this. I'll be making more videos in this style, and I want to start streaming as well. I'll be playing Minecraft and some Pokemon probably. I have an Owl House project in Minecraft that I wanted to add to, so I'll probably be streaming that first. I really appreciate everyone who watched this whole thing. I'd started this project back in May, and I'm excited to share it with the world after lots of work and a few side quests that got me off track. Well, that's all. Till next time.